Hey, what's up everybody? Mr. Smith here with another quick math video. Today what we want to look at is multiplying by the powers of 10. Alright, so our first example, we have 4.2 times 10 to the second power. Alright, we want to make this quick and easy. Alright, so first we want to look at the 10 to the second power. That's basically like 10 times 10. Okay, 10 to the second power is just 10 times 10, which is the same thing as 100. Okay, so what we're trying to do really is we're just trying to multiply 4.2 times 100. So it's kind of like saying, so if we want to estimate, we could say this is kind of close to 4. This would be like our estimation, 4 times 100. And that should be about 400. Okay, so our answer should be close to 400. And so what happens is the decimal point, every time we multiply by 10, the decimal point will shift one place. Okay, so because we're multiplying by 10 and 10 again, the decimal point is going to shift once, twice. Okay, and now we're going to add in a 0, so we end up getting 420. You can add a decimal point at the end. You don't really have to, but that would be our final answer, which is close to our estimation of 400, which we had before. Alright, our second example, 183 times 10 to the third. Alright, so we start by looking at 10 to the third. That's the same as 10 times 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. So basically we're taking 183 times 1,000. So our estimation, and we can just leave it as it is, but 183 times 1,000, that would be our estimation, so we should get an answer close to 183,000. Okay, well, that ends up being our exact answer, but we'll look at how it works with decimals. So since there is no decimal point here, it's a whole number, so we can just add the decimal point at the end, assume it belongs there. Okay, so every time you multiply by 10, that decimal point will shift about one place to the right, because we're multiplying by a power of 10. Positive power of 10. Okay, so once, twice, three times. Okay, we add in 3 zeros, and there's our answer, 183,000. Okay, all right, next example. So now we have 34 thousandths times 10 to the second power. So same thing, 10 to the second power just means we're multiplying by 10 times 10. So we're essentially just multiplying this by 100. Okay, it's a little bit hard to estimate because this is a really small number. But basically it's going to, because of our powers of 10 and we know what's happening, every time multiplied by 10, the decimal point will shift one place to the right. So 0.034. And since we're multiplying by 10 and then 10 again, the decimal point will shift 2 times and ends up ending between the 3 and the 4. So our answer becomes 3.4 or 3 and 4 tenths. Alright, next example, we want to take a look at 3.49 or 3 and 49 hundredths to this times 10 to the negative second power. Okay, so here we have a negative exponent. So let's take a look at what that means. So if we have a negative exponent, that means that it actually gets flipped into the denominator. So this is the same as 1 over 10 to the second power, which is, as we know, 10 to the second power is 10 times 10, which is 100. Okay, so this is what we're actually multiplying by, is 1 over 100. And when you're multiplying by a fraction like this, it's the same as dividing by 100. Okay, that's essentially what's happening. So we're dividing by 2 powers of 10. So instead of shifting our decimal point to the right like we have been, the decimal point will now get shifted to the left. Okay, so 3.49 or 3 and 49 hundredths, decimal point shifts once, twice to the left. We add in that 0, and our answer becomes 0.0349 or 349 ten thousandths. Alright, last example, 0.09 or 9 hundredths times 10 to the negative 1. So same thing as before, since this is a negative exponent it gets flipped into the denominator. So this is the same thing as 1 over 10 to the first power, which is just 1 over 10. And since we're multiplying by 1 over 10, it's essentially like we're just dividing by 10. So as we saw last time, with a negative exponent, our decimal point is going to get shifted to the left instead of to the right. And so by a power of 10, it gets shifted one time. So our answer becomes 0.009 or 9 thousandths. To summarize real quick, 10 to the third power, we're going to shift the decimal point 3 places to the right, because it's a positive 3 and it's 10 to the positive power. And since we're multiplying by 10, our number system is base 10. Every time you multiply by 10, it increases by a power of 10, and it gets decimal places get shifted by 10. If we had 10 to the negative third, okay, it would become 3 places to the left. Okay, so the decimal point starts here, boom, 1, 2, 3, and that's where our decimal point would end up. Okay, so just as quick summary, multiplying by positive exponents, decimal places get shifted to the right. Multiplying by negative exponents, essentially you're dividing by 10, is that's what's happening, and you're shifting the decimal place to the left. Okay, if you have any questions, comments, please leave them in the comment section below. That's it for today. Peace. Later.